I was on my progesterone, and Ashley was like, oh, you should take a test tonight. And I'm like, okay. So I take a test and I send it to her. I said, it's negative. She said, there's a line. And I'm like, what? Of course, we're ecstatic. Like, we got a positive pregnancy test. That has never happened. Feeling like it's God's plan, feeling like the timing was perfect. And then a short 5 days later, I had the miscarriage. I mean, it was a Sunday. It was the weekend. Where would I have that type of care anywhere? I mean, my OB probably wouldn't have even known I was pregnant at that point. And then that week, every coach reached out to me. Like, we are here. I'm here if you need me. I tried to capsule it up. I didn't feel alone. Of course, I was distraught. And then Tuesday, I just had like this overwhelming sense of peace. And Nate came home from work and he's like, I just have to tell you, like, I feel peace today.
Welcome to Prescribing the Truth. I'm Dr. Nichole Morris, a Catholic naturopathic doctor and natural fertility expert. Around here, we don't just accept the mainstream narrative, we question it. My goal with every episode is to share the love of Jesus with you and empower you to make informed, confident decisions for you and your family. So grab a cup of tea, get comfy, maybe even throw on your tin hat, and let's dive in. Welcome back to Prescribing the Truth. I am thrilled to be with you here today. Super excited to have my friends and my colleagues, or my clients, Kaylee and Nate Marks, here with us today. It has been such an honor and a blessing to walk with them through infertility to now being almost 14 weeks pregnant. And surprise, they're going to tell me if they're having a boy or girl in this episode today. So I'm anxious to dive in and find out if we made a boy or a girl. So welcome, you guys. I'm thrilled to have you here. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, we are completely honored that you asked us to be on your podcast. I mean, it's just amazing. So thank you.
Of course, I'm happy to have you here. It's an honor to have had the opportunity to support you, and I'm thrilled that you guys agreed to share your story with the world. I know that that's going to bless a lot of people who take a listen to this episode. So let's dive in if you guys are up for it. I'd love to kind of walk through, hear your journey and your story, and just kind of share all the bits and pieces of that with those that are listening. So talk to us a little bit about, like, what was it like while you were trying to conceive before you found us? What was your journey like? What were you going through? What kind of support and care were you getting? How did that feel for you guys?
We got married in 2022, and we weren't ready yet. You know, I mean, we have been together for 9 years almost. So it's been a while. But still just like soaking in just us. And then in early 2024, I came to Nate and I'm like, I think it's time that I get off birth control. And I had been on birth control for like 10 years at that point. And he wasn't like for sure ready yet. I think it scared him, but I just knew, like, in my heart, I'm like, I just think this is going to take longer than we think it is. And so I explained that to him, and, you know, of course he's supportive. So I got off birth control, and so a little, like, prior to that, I really changed my health and fitness journey. We were counting macros and really learning about food and swapping out to whole foods, or, like, you know, at that point it was lower fats and trying to lose weight. I trained for a marathon. I ran in that. So that was all leading up to then me getting off birth control. So then the journey of trying to get pregnant, a lot changed. I was trying to learn how to regulate my hormones myself, how to fit my fitness journey into trying to get pregnant, because I'm like, I think I'm stressing my body out. There were a lot of unknowns. And I was very deep into the podcast world and just researching on my own. So yes, I was doing that. I did actually go to the OB once, and that was prior to me getting off birth control. And I had asked her, you know, we might want to be trying soon for a baby. How far in advance should I get off birth control? And she told me, I mean, you could get off today and you could be pregnant in a month. So you don't need any time to prepare. And I'm like, but this before all my research, I'm like, that is just not right. Like, I have been on birth control for 10 years. I don't believe that to be true. So that was the only time that I had actually went to the OB. So yeah, trying to get pregnant. We were met month and month over with negative tests, which was very difficult. I was overwhelmed trying to figure out how to fix my body. I mean, I knew that my body could do it, and I didn't want to go conventional medicine route just because I knew that I needed healing. Again, doing lots of podcast research, and in December, I had started a new job, was super stressful, which plays a part in it all. But we'll get to that. And I came across this podcast while I'm at work, and it was Dr. Nichole Morris. You were on the Red Pill Healthcast. And I mean, the title, I forget what it was, but it was like hormone. I don't know what it was. Fertility, something. I'm like,
I don't know either, but it was a great episode.
yes, so good. And you were just speaking to my soul. I'm like, this is everything that I'm trying to piece together through different professionals, different research podcasts, and you're like talking all about it, and your story resonated with me. And at that time we hadn't been trying for a year yet, but I came home to Nate, and he at that point was used to all my crazy ideas and listen what I learned on this podcast. So he's like, okay, what did this doctor say that you found? And I was like, I want to meet with her. Like, I just feel like we need to talk to her. And so we scheduled a consult with you, and it definitely felt, I don't know if scary is the right word, but like, it felt like, is this real? Like, are you a real person in Michigan? Like, so,
it's a mystery.
Yeah. But then we had the Zoom with you, and you were indeed a real person. And
here I am.
Talking all the things that I felt like I needed, because again, I was just worn out, overwhelmed. I was at a point, despite not trying for a year yet, and a lot of my friends or people I talk to, they're like, I mean, definitely thought I was crazy for seeking help already. But I just knew I needed help with regulating my hormones, and I knew that you had this path that could point us in the direction that we needed.
Did you feel, Kaylee, that you were making progress when you were like listening to the podcast and doing your own research? Did you feel like you were information gathering and then making progress, or was it information gathering and getting stuck?
I would say information gathering and getting stuck. Like, yeah, I feel like, I was able to make some changes along the way, but nothing felt like it was fixing it, because the only measure of success at that point for us was if we're getting a positive test, because I wasn't getting blood. Like, I didn't know, much else other than that. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you bring up a valid point too, in just mentioning, that you hadn't been quite trying for a year yet. It was close, right? But that brings us to the point of conventional medicine being so reactive instead of what's the word?
Proactive? No.
I'm having a brain burn. Proactive, right? Okay. That brings the point of conventional medicine being reactive instead of proactive, right? Because we don't want to just wait around until you've been trying for a year to think like, oh, maybe we should do something to support your health, right? As soon as someone decides that they want to have a baby, and even before they really decided that they want to have a baby, we should be diving in and supporting egg quality and sperm health and environmental toxicities and everything we need to do to make sure that you're going to have a smooth ride to conceive and move forward. So it's such an important piece, and getting started sooner than later is so important.
One more thing about that is, like, after talking to you and seeing, what your program had to offer, we're at a point where I'm like, okay, either I'm going to continue being overwhelmed, we're going to go to the OB or the fertility clinic. And based on my research, I can tell you the guideline they're going to treat me, or work with you. And I just felt like working with you was going to heal my body and also look into Nate and like heal his body and just set us up for the future. And I knew I was going to learn so much that it was going to be more than just, let's do this to get pregnant.
Yeah. We're doing this to heal your body and doing this for all the babies to come, right? Not just this one baby that we're trying to have in this moment. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear your perspective, Nate. Walking through infertility as a male is just not something that we hear talked about often. Not many men are willing to share their experience. So I just thank you again for being here and being willing to share. What was that journey like for you, walking through, Kaylee coming to you saying, I think I'm ready to go off my birth control, to being like, oh, this is not as easy as I thought it was going to be, and we need to take action here. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was tough. Cause like you said, Kaylee was coming to me and saying, I'm ready to get off birth control. And I'm sitting here going, really? Let's think about this for a moment. And then, weeks pass, months pass, and we aren't having success. And I think that every guy is going to recognize at some point, they're going to ask themselves that question, is it me? Is it her? What's going on? And I know like how Kaylee is, like, I understand like who she is to her core, and that my patience level is far greater than hers, and she'll stress out a lot faster than I ever would. And, so I just kind of knew that you can't show too much emotion with the stress and play into that along. And I just needed to be like her rock and just tell her that, everything's going to be okay, and that this is going to be on God's timeline and not our own. I mean, God has shown me countless times over again that things happen on his watch and not mine. And you always have to trust that there's a greater purpose for it and a greater reason for it. And I knew that I knew that she was so confident in yourself and your program that you have, that I just need to trust the woman that I married, that she's making a sound decision by, reaching out to you and doing the research and really diving into what you guys do and taking that information and just saying, okay, if this is what my wife wants to do, I need to be on board with it as well. And then I will trust that this is part of God's plan to put us in this position to eventually one day be sitting here with you with smiles on our faces, yes, sharing our good news with everybody that we can.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Nate. I think there's a few things that you said that I just want to put emphasis on that I think are so beautiful, is the way that you supported Kaylee, because the data shows us that women are primarily the medical researchers in the family and primarily the medical decision makers in the family. But it's not always the situation where the husband is so supportive of what the wife, is researching and respectful of her decision there. And I just commend you for that. And I think another thing that I really just want to circle back to is you're trusting God's timing, but that didn't make you sit on the couch and do nothing. And I think sometimes some people get confused there, right? And just because we have full trust in the Lord, like what we're doing in our program is not taking the power away from the Lord, right? We're not doing IVF and IUI and those sorts of things, but we're taking action, and we believe that like God aligned us together for a reason, right? And we still believe in his timing and respect that, but we're still taking action to heal our bodies and support that process and happening. And I think that's just such an important piece. And I just love how you demonstrated both of those things so beautifully. So you guys kind of walked this journey. You heard me on the Red Pill Your Health cast, which is amazing. I actually can't wait to message Lauren tonight and tell her like, I just recorded a podcast with a couple who found me from your podcast. Like, this is just a super cool full circle moment in less than a year. Like, how amazing is this? Sure. So you found me there. And
That's
then
exciting.
And you're pregnant. Yeah, exactly. And so tell me, like, what was it that really, when we chatted, I still remember actually the night that I chatted with you guys, and I can like see it in my mind where you're both sitting and all the things. But tell me, like, what really resonated with you guys and made you think like, yes, this is why we need to do this program. This is why it's going to work for us.
Well, first of all, you, I mean, leading up to it, I was nervous because it's something that like I brought to him and I didn't know what to expect. It's not like I had met with you first or like, listen to what she has to say. Like I was being thrown into it too. So just hearing you out and feeling your sense of warmth and knowledge, that was one part of it. And then the second part was just, I mean, I can't say like specifically something you said on our consult that made me be like, we need to work with her. But just because I felt like, again, it was everything that I was trying to do on my own, on our own, and you just had it like perfectly laid out. And I loved the comprehensive lab panels for both of us, and that it wasn't just a me thing, it was both of us together. And you really put emphasis on the importance of that. And it was more than just, again, like, of course, the forefront was we want to be pregnant, but it was more, this is going to tell us about our health, not just mine, but his too. And so I'd say those were the biggest pieces.
Yeah, that's great. And you've heard me say this a million times, I'm sure, Kaylee, but it takes two to tango. I say it all the time because your husband's health is 50% of the equation, 50% of your baby's DNA. They are just as important as you, as the female, right? And I'm curious, was there anything that you guys like, and if there's not, that's okay, but anything from like your deep dive in all of our testing that made you like, was an aha for you guys, or like, whoa, like this has been overlooked. This is a big red flag thing that we were able to identify right off the bat.
Food allergies.
That's yours.
That's for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and like with the panel, the full comprehensive panel, I mean, we found that like my testosterone wasn't as high as it should have been. There was reasons why I felt sluggish, or I felt tired, or like a midday crash. That now, thank you from the bottom of my heart, we have taken that in stride, and I have felt an incredible difference in my energy levels. And again, it's tying everything together. It's not a one little thing cures all, but it's whenever I am being disciplined with my food, allergies or intolerance, then the food intolerance and taking the supplements and just doing the right things, you get a different effect on life for sure.
Yeah, he had said, once like we figured out the testosterone, he was taking his supplements, he was like a 180. And he said, if we get nothing else from working with Dr. Morris, this will be enough. Like, cause I just feel so different. So
yeah,
I think, I mean, for me, that was, that's what I was going to say, you know? And for me, when we got my full panel back and everything was great. Like, I didn't have any super like red flags, and that was disappointing on one hand because I'm like, I just want an answer.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm like, dang, okay. I guess I
got this in the bag. Yeah. That's valid though, Kaylee. Like when we do that big workup and we're like, and it's rare that we do a workup and we're like, oh yeah, like everything looks great. There's usually like some things, right? Because we're doing pretty extensive workup. But even when there's just like a couple little things, it can be disappointing when you see those first laps because you're like, shoot, like I thought that was the answer, right? But then we get into the Dutch and the food intolerances and some of the other stuff where it's like, okay, things start to show here. But that's valid. Yeah, for sure. Was there any like aha moments that you had walking through the process or like big breakthroughs outside of the testosterone?
Well, I don't know if it's really an aha moment because I definitely knew that I had a feeling that my cortisol and my stress was very, very high. And that was, you know, the cause of a lot of things. But after doing the Dutch and actually seeing that like my hormones are all over the place, not where they're meant to be, my cortisol is spiking at nighttime and like, or early morning, like not when it's supposed to. And I also felt all of the symptoms that comes with that. It was like, yeah, I'm not crazy. My cortisol is high. And then being given the tools on how to reduce it, not just with supplements, but, you know, restricting my phone time before bed with 10 minutes of sunlight as soon as I wake up, with all these things. And I implemented it and it truly I mean, honestly, it changed. This past year has been so transformative.
That I'm so just thrilled. And it's such an honor to have been able to walk this journey with you guys. But you guys did the hard work. Like, you didn't just pay us and think that's all you had to do to get results, right? Like, you engaged, you came, you showed up, you did the things. You went outside for 10 minutes in the morning and put your face in the sunlight. Like, not very many people are willing to actually do those things, right? So you put in the hard work to get to the point where you're at right now. And I really commend you guys for doing that. And it was worth it. So tell me, how did it feel to go in, to come into the fertility formula and be in a place where you were supported and you didn't have to do all the research and you didn't have to put all the puzzle pieces together? How did that affect your stress and your confidence moving forward?
I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, we don't have anything else to compare it to. Like, this was the first route we took. And,
yeah.
And honestly, that's
a blessing. Yeah. In itself. Well, I, of course, felt overwhelmed in a different way because I wanted to dive in and like, okay, well, I want to do my Dutch. I want to do the, when can I go for my labs? When can I do? And it was like, it's a marathon, you would say, not a sprint. So taking a deep breath and just taking like one day at a time and where you were directing us, that was a lesson that had to be learned. But it was, I mean, amazing because instead of me trying to trust these different outlets that I was searching for information, whether it came to like environmental toxins or tracking my cycle or how to eat and work out according to my cycle or like, you know, everything, it was like, it's coming from somebody in a group of women that I trust. And it was one place to ask questions to. So that was a huge stress relief. And I have a lot to say about the support along the way. So
I love it. Yeah, go ahead. I'd love to hear your thoughts right now. What do you think about the coaches and the group calls? This is a foreign concept that we kind of get a little pushback from people sometimes. It's like, I have to get on a group call with a whole bunch of other people. And I'm like, just trust me, like it's incredibly magical. But I'd love to hear your perspective on all of that, Kaylee.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely felt that way. And I think Nate was like, oh, it's group calls, like at first, you know, it's not one-on-one every week. And I'm like, well, it's a lot. Like, she's working with a lot of women. She can't be, but we still had that access to you, obviously. We scheduled many one-on-ones. But no, the group calls were amazing because even if I didn't have a question, just getting on them and hearing you go through someone else's labs with them or answer someone else's questions that maybe I never thought of, but it was information that I needed. So it was, honestly, I feel like more beneficial than if we would just work one-on-one with you because we were learning from all the other women's journeys and knowing that, you know, we weren't alone. And I made a good friend through your program, and
You did?
Yeah, we met on a call and we talk often, but yeah.
I love that. I didn't know that. That makes my heart so happy.
Yeah.
A lot of the women in our program have been creating friendships, and it's just so beautiful, and it fills my heart. Very good. I'm happy for you for that. Very good. Today's episode is brought to you by the Fertility Formula Masterclass. My team and I have helped hundreds of married couples conceive naturally without IUI or IVF. If you're struggling to get pregnant or stay pregnant and have been told there are no other options, don't stop searching. There is hope, and finding the root cause is key. If you want to learn more about how we can support you on your journey to motherhood, head over to drnicholemorris.com, and don't forget, Nichole has an H in it. All right, let's get back to the show.
Before the miscarriage happened, throughout the program, you brought on Stephanie, which she, you know, we listened to her. Working with Stephanie, I love all the coaches. Okay, I love them all. But Stephanie is just, I don't know, the best. Like she helped me through so much that, I mean, it was like, I guess having like a counselor, but better because she has faith and would point me in the direction of leaning on God, and just so wise beyond her years that she would help me through the program because, of course, you know, I was in that stressful job, starting the program, wanting to do everything right, wanting to keep up with my to-do list at home. Like, I'm a very type A person, so that was all very, very hard. So Stephanie just really helped me, transform into somebody who can manage things a lot better and not have to be a perfectionist. So that was amazing. But then, so we got pregnant in June, and we'll just tell that little bit of the story because it definitely plays into, but to say we were surprised, we were very surprised, which is funny because obviously we're trying.
Yeah.
But
you weren't that cycle, if I remember correctly.
That cycle, I'm like, I need a break.
Yeah, we were
like
trying.
I need a break because the journey's not easy. Despite working with somebody who's telling us, you know, how to help things, what to do, it's still not easy. And so I'm like, I need a break from this. So we didn't try. And I was on my progesterone, and Ashley was like, oh, you should take a test tonight. Like, it was like going to be day 15. And I'm like, okay. So I take a test and I send it to her, and she's like, I said it's negative. She said, there's a line. And I'm like, what?
I didn't know that you thought it was negative.
Yeah. I'm like, what? So, of course, we're ecstatic. Like, we got a positive pregnancy test. That has never happened. And very excited, feeling like it's God's plan, feeling like the timing was perfect. And then, like a short 5 days later, where if, you know, any woman that has gotten a positive pregnancy test knows, and who has been trying or wants a baby, knows it transforms your life in a small period. So, yeah, a short 5 days later, I had the miscarriage, and it was a Sunday, and I was messaging you, and you were responding, and just back and forth. And I'm like, it was a Sunday, it was the weekend. Where would I have that type of care anywhere? My OB probably wouldn't have even known I was pregnant at that point if I was working with, you know, an outside provider. And then that week, every coach reached out to me. Like, we're here. I'm here if you need me. How are you doing? Stephanie was there. Like, it was just, and we had a call with you that Tuesday. I had a call with Stephanie. It was just like, I try to capsule it up and explain it to people in our family and my friends. And I'm like, I didn't feel alone. And, you know, that is such a big thing with miscarriages is and women feeling alone and questioning. And of course you didn't have an answer for us. You couldn't say, this is why it happened, but it still felt just, I don't know, like so supported. And so of course I was distraught on Sunday and Monday. And then Tuesday, before our call with you, and I don't know if you remember, but I just had like this overwhelming sense of peace on Tuesday. And I'm like, it is okay. Like, I kind of felt like people are going to think I'm crazy because I'm not like a wreck over it anymore. And Nate came home from work, and he's like, I just have to tell you, like, I feel peace today. And I'm like, me too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we had the call with you, and you're like, this is and of course you were not dismissing the heartbreak, but you're like, we know you can get pregnant now. And that was such a huge positive to pull from it. And obviously looking back, I think it was meant to happen the way that it did.
That silver lining there, right? Which doesn't make it easy, but it gives us a step in the right direction. We knew at that point, like, okay, your sperm and your egg can meet. We know implantation can happen. That happens, right? And to just provide some context and some clarity there, sometimes miscarriages happen and we don't know why they happen, right? And we wish that we knew why they happened. Statistically speaking, that will happen anywhere between 20 and 25% of pregnancies. In our program, we only have 8. We just calculated this the other day. Our miscarriage rate is 8%. So we're really proud of that. But unfortunately, like, it still happens sometimes. And it's so hard to walk through those situations, right? But I think as you demonstrated, Kaylee, like, we take this really serious in our program. Like, we're not messing around, right? We're here to support you guys from the moment you get pregnant, before you're pregnant, and then the moment you get pregnant. And I'm always explaining, like, we're doing labs right away. We're on these things, right? In supporting you through pregnancy as well. So it breaks our hearts when we're walking through these journeys with you as well. But it also warms my heart to know that you felt so much love and care and support from our team, and that was able to kind of carry you through. And I remember getting on that call with you guys on that Tuesday, and I remember you guys both being like, it's going to be okay. Like, we're at peace. Like, this is going to be okay. And we kind of were able to talk through the silver lining there and move forward and say, okay, like, we're moving on to the next step, right? We're not giving up here. This is not the end. This is not the end of your story. I want to hear from you, Nate. I want to hear what that experience was like for you, because I have to tell you something. I'm going to cry. I didn't know I was going to cry with you guys tonight, but I'm going to cry. I will never forget the moment I opened my phone and I had the message from you, and it was capital letters. I'm going to be a dad. Like, that impacted me so drastically, because I don't get that from a lot of men. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, this is so beautiful. He's so excited. And so that alone, like, made this miscarriage more heartbreaking for me, because I knew, like, in that moment, like, you were so thrilled.
I was. Yeah, absolutely. I was ecstatic, and I was also angry because I was like the third person to find out that day. Yeah. But that's fine.
It usually goes that way, just so you know.
And I messaged you because you messaged me, congrats, mama. And I said, wait, don't text Nate yet because he doesn't know.
I do remember that too, yeah. I was like, oh, good thing he's
I was pretty low on the totem pole, but that's okay.
You're at work.
Yeah. I'm glad
your part was done. You did your job.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was absolutely thrilled. And like she said, I think the biggest thrill and shock factor is because, like, we were not trying that month. We're just like, let's just, like, not focus on it at all. It happens, and then so quickly it was, in a sense, taken away from us. And I was I was angry. I was frustrated. I had those questions like, why? And, I vented. I felt all the emotions that one could possibly have. But a small part of me was kind of like, this is hurting Kaylee more. And then, like she said, I don't know what happened or why, but Tuesday we both just kind of looked at each other and was just like, it doesn't matter. Like, it happened. Great. It is what it is. We can't do anything about it. Today's a new day. We just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I try to look at things as it happens for us, not to us.
Yeah.
Right. There's a reason.
And nothing great ever comes easy. So whatever his plan is, I'm sticking with it.
Yep. Darn straight. So thank you, Nate, for sharing that. So we're at this point, early summer, we experience the loss. What happens next?
Well, before we get there, I guess I just wanted to talk about my faith journey through it, because then that ties in there. So of course I've always been religious, and we went to church and everything like that. But, like, the past 2 years have just been transformative for me. With having a relationship with Jesus, and not just, oh yeah, we go to church, I believe, but having to truly lean on him and surrender continuously to him for something that we wanted and I wanted so terribly bad. I've never had to do in my life. And so it almost also feels like God's way of bringing me and us closer to him, and us together in our marriage. Because I mean, at first, because of how bad I wanted it, it's almost like I hid that from Nate, that I was praying about it so much. I hid, and I don't like that I hid it. I mean, we are so close, we know everything about each other, but for some reason I just held on to this like it's mine. So yeah, then we started really talking about it together, praying about it together, praying for a baby, and that transformed things in our marriage and just our relationship with God. But it was not easy. It was a continuous surrender every month. And I think, that's the hardest part is, yeah, I had faith, but it wasn't enough to carry me through. With every negative test, I had to continuously come back and remind myself that he's good. Let me give it all to him. And like it stands out in my brain like it was yesterday, but at a couple months before, I think before the miscarriage, I had a negative test and I was just very angry. And we went to church and they sang the song Send Me. I don't know if you know that song, but it's like, send me and I'll do what you want. I'll stand in front of people and I'll, and I was just crying and I'm like, how can I say send me when I'm losing my faith, when, he's not answering my prayer? And I couldn't say that. And I gave Nate attitude during the service. He probably remembers. And I was taking my anger out on him, and I came home and I called his mom. And I didn't say, she knew I was having a bad day. And I didn't say anything about being angry. Nothing. I'm just like, I'm sad. I'm having a bad day. And she's like, Kaylee, I need to tell you something. She said, if you're angry with God, you need to tell him. And I don't know why I'm like, I am angry, but I was holding on to that anger like it was mine to keep. And so again, through this long journey, like you think you have it all figured out, you think you're giving everything to the Lord, and sometimes you feel like you want to keep a little piece because that's mine. That's my anger, that's my grief, that's my sadness. But her telling me that, and then me truly being mad, and she's like, sometimes you have to yell at God, like, it's okay, you need to give it to him. That was a huge piece in truly just trusting him, and through the journey. So it was. So I think also, so then, after the miscarriage, that definitely brought me and Nate even closer. And I feel like that's when we really started praying together and praying out loud about wanting a baby. And that felt freeing too. Like, cause I was again, like holding that to just me. And so we said, we're like, on that Tuesday, we're like, we're going to try again. We want to try. Like, it kind of gave us, of course, we mourned that baby and we, made a box for him or her and set that aside, but we were excited because we were like, we can get pregnant. We didn't know it was possible until now. So we're like, we're going to try again. Like, let's do it. And also a lesson in getting pregnant the first time was we didn't have to be perfect because we weren't trying. And I'm, type A, and I'm like, we need to try every day. And, so that was a lesson. But we tried that next cycle and we didn't get pregnant. And I would say that was a huge letdown, even though, and I appreciate that about you and the coaches, Ashley. Nobody said you probably shouldn't do it. Like, you probably should give your body time to recuperate. Of course, you said, like, you know, this is traumatic on your body and it needs time to heal. But you didn't tell us we couldn't, you know, you didn't discourage us any. And I appreciate that. So yeah, it was a letdown not getting pregnant like right after, but that makes sense that we didn't. You know, my body was healing. But then the cycle after, we got pregnant. Yeah. So I what?
Yeah, you also say your cycle switched.
Yeah, my cycle like completely did a 180. So I wasn't ovulating until day like 26. As you know, I have very long cycles. And so the cycle we got pregnant, it was like day
16.
Well, I ovulated on day 16, yeah. But like a few days prior to that, I told Nate, I woke up, I said, I think I'm going to ovulate soon, which is amazing that I could recognize that in my body and, you know, my symptoms. And he's like, really? And I'm like, it's only like day 13 or something, you know? So that was exciting. And so we obviously tried, and I got the positive LH strip and I ovulated, and we prayed about it. And I don't know if it's TMI, but I was leaving for a beach trip like the morning when we should have had sex. And we did prior to that, but like it was our last chance before like the ovulation window was going to be goodbye. And Nate was like, do you want to do it real quick before you leave? It's like 5 a.m. And I'm like, no, if it's meant to be, it will be. And so
you did it?
We did it.
You just let it be?
You just let it be.
Oh my goodness.
And he's like, well, if it doesn't happen, I don't want to hear that you regret that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so then, you know, the 2-week wait when your hopes are up and you feel like it could happen.
It's torture.
Yes, torture.
Eternity. Yeah.
But so recall for me, what was that moment like when you saw that positive test for the second time?
So it's funny because
underwhelming for me.
It was, yeah, but it was underwhelming for me almost as well. Like I don't know how to explain it, but like, so I woke up before him and I'm like pacing around because I'm like, maybe I'll go in the other bathroom because he's about to get up for work. Like maybe, you know, because I always also had this, like, I wanted to take the test myself to prepare myself if it was negative. But whatever. I take it in our bathroom and here comes the line, and it's so much darker than the first time. Like there's no questioning. And I'm like, I'm pregnant. But it wasn't surprising. It felt peaceful. Like, you know, I didn't need to keep it a secret then. I didn't need to do anything special. I just bust out the bathroom. I'm like, Nate, I'm pregnant. And he's like, wait, what'd you say?
I know.
Yeah, that's what he said. I know. I'm like, what? He had a dream that
it's my dream.
Okay, sorry.
So,
let's hear Nate tell us.
I'm sorry.
It's my dream. So, like, to preface this, I do have dreams that are like they come true. Usually bits and pieces are like incorrect, but like the gist of it happens. And so I'm having this dream where Kaylee's at the foot of the bed. I get up and I'm talking to her and she just smiles at me and says, I'm pregnant. And my response to her was, I know that you were going to tell me today on Thursday that you were pregnant, not tomorrow on Friday, like we previously talked about 2 weeks ago when you told me you were going to test. And she handed me, I think it was a onesie. I can't remember what it was exactly, but it read, it's a boy.
Oh.
And it is a boy.
It's a boy?
Yeah. So,
Oh my goodness, how beautiful.
Yeah.
So she busts me out of the bathroom, yells, "I'm pregnant." And I woke up and I knew she went to the bathroom, but I'm thinking to myself, like, that's so strange. Like, I'm always out of bed first for work.
Yeah.
What is she doing? And then I'm like, whatever, I'm going back to bed. Busts out of the bathroom, yells, "I'm pregnant." And I'm like, yeah, I'm aware. Like, God and I apparently had to talk about
You say
this.
it's a boy?
Yeah, like, oh, by the way, it's a boy.
But he didn't tell me that part.
No, I didn't tell her that part of the dream because we had been talking about how, like, we kind of wanted a boy. She was on board with it. I was definitely board with it, of course.
Happy with either.
Happy with
of
either,
course.
but
It's not like you get a choice, but yeah.
you don't get to pick. But I didn't want to say anything to her about that part of the dream until we did a gender
Or gender
reveal between just the two of us, and then we have it on video. I told her the last part of the dream, it being a boy, and we open the envelope and see that it's a boy, and I'm just like,
flabbergasted.
yeah, like, God's got a weird way of speaking to all of us, but that to me is like God hitting me with a billboard that says, "Hello, I'm here." And just there's like a big smile on
Yeah,
his face, you know. It's just like I don't know that moment of that morning of waking up and then opening that envelope. I will remember that till the day I die, as God just saying, like, almost chuckling, you know, and saying, like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm with you guys. This is what it's supposed to be."
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you, Nate, for sharing that. That's such a private and intimate moment in between the two of you guys and God to be sharing, and I just appreciate that. I know that your story is going to bring so much hope and transformation to so many people that are going to listen to it, and I'm just so grateful for you guys being open and willing to share your story. So now we're 14 weeks, you said, right, Kaylee? 14 weeks? 14 weeks. We're having a boy. How are you feeling?
A lot better now.
First
It was a little rough.
The first trimester kind of hit me like, I'm like, nobody told me it could be this bad. Like, just the nausea and the exhaustion, and I wasn't aware of all those types of things. So,
first trimester fatigue is no joke.
yeah,
Like,
literally.
you're like,
I'm like,
ow.
Nate, you don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
I am painfully tired. Like, it physically hurts.
Yeah. I remember those
Yes.
days.
But obviously I'm so happy. We're so happy. I think, like, of course I was nervous through the first trimester, knowing what had happened before, and but Nate was always just a rock, and he really felt like the dream was God telling us it's okay. Like, Nate's like, I know we're going to have a baby in May. Like, I just know it. And so instead of stressing out, I choose to believe that it's God's plan. And I mean, everything through the whole journey, like, truly feels like God was with us the whole time, and that this is his plan. And so many, we had so many signs, like, early on when I first found out I was pregnant, where it just felt like God is, like, there. And he was giving signs to, like, our close friends and family that we were pregnant without us telling them yet. And I don't know, it just felt like, yeah, we're meant to be here.
You are so meant to be here. This was all part of God's plan, his beautiful plan. So being on this side of things, I would love to hear what your advice would be to other couples walking through a similar journey to you. Or if you could look another woman in the eye, Kaylee, who's walking through the heartache right now, what would your advice be to her?
My advice would be, enjoy being in the process of becoming, because instead of just always, trying to find the next step, the next answer, stressing yourself out, just, like, living in the moment and thinking about it in a way that I am trying to fix and heal my body. And I'm doing this because I want to be healthy. I really shifted my mindset. Instead of I'm doing this because I want to be pregnant. Instead, it's I want to be healthy. And that just is like a cascade effect into lower stress, not putting so much pressure on it, because that's a big piece too, and I know nobody wants to hear it. I did not want to hear it. Like, you're putting too much pressure on it. Maybe just try not to try. Like, nobody wants to hear that. And that is definitely not what I'm saying. But as hard as it,
but I think there's also value, Kaylee, in what you're saying is like, when I'm on the phone, when I'm speaking to someone, I'm speaking to them because they want to get pregnant and they wanted to get pregnant yesterday, right? Like that's given. But when we can come into this situation from a place of like, there's a reason I'm not conceiving. I want to figure out what that reason is, make my body healthy. And then I know fertility is going to come of that. We're so much more successful because that nervous system is turned down and allowing for that to happen.
And one other piece is just trusting God and surrendering to Him and truly surrendering everything to Him. Really look deep at yourself when, you get that negative test, because I know the emotional roller coaster. But if you get a negative test, just surrendering everything and trying not to hold on to little bits and pieces, and talking about it with your husband, because it will truly bring you closer than ever before, even if you can't imagine that it would. It does. Do you have advice?
Yes. I'm sorry. So valuable. Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts, Nate.
Yeah, for any guys that are out there and, struggling with infertility, and I mean, I would say definitely take the advice of your wife. I mean, she's the one who brought us here. And if you find yourself to be lucky enough to be talking to Dr. Morris and going through this program, I would say, just take it all head on. Take all your own does, anything that she's recommending, whether it be DHEA, D3, K2, methyl support, whatever it is, just follow the process, pray, and understand you're here for a reason, and it's the right reason. I felt like I had a lot of questions along the way that, fortunately for me, Kaylee did all the research and kind of answered them for me. But having this team would certainly answer any questions that you might have. And the beauty of it is you're going to learn more about yourself and your body and what it needs than you would in any other. So just trust your wife and and just know that
trust your wife, trust the process, pray, right?
That's really it. I mean, that's exactly how I took it on, and I don't have any regrets.
Yeah. And here we are, 14 weeks pregnant, right? Yeah. with our miracle baby.
It's too easy.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's too easy. I don't know if I go that far, but we try to make it easy. Well, thank you guys so incredibly much for joining me tonight and being willing to be here and share your story. I know it just takes vulnerability to let people into kind of the hardest parts of our life, at least for me when I was walking through this journey, right? Like, that's when I grieved the most and felt my weakest self often when I was walking through this journey. So I just appreciate you guys letting the world in, and it has been such an incredible honor to support you, both of you. I can tell you, you're both two of our favorites. And part of what makes you one of our favorites, Nate, I will say, is like, you engaged with us. You showed up ready to do this. And again, like I've said, I commend you multiple times, but I really do, because not all of the husbands show up like ready to participate and be their active 50%. And that makes such a huge difference in our ability to be successful. This is, again, 2 to tango, 50-50 each. Yeah. So thank you, Nate, for showing up and doing the work and supporting your wife.
I loved every minute of it. And like I said, it changed my life, because I went from a guy who didn't have much energy, and then with your recommendations on certain supplements, I was ready to run through a concrete wall by week 3 after taking some of this stuff. And I'm just so much happier now than I was whenever we started this back in, what was it?
You're ready to be like full dad mode.
Absolutely. Now I'm just ready for lack of sleep, to not feel that energy level anymore.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
What we're ready for.
Very good. Oh, wonderful. Well, thanks again, you guys. Would you guys mind if I pray over you? I'm just feeling really called to pray over you guys before you wrap up tonight. All right, let's do it. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, I just thank you so much for Kaylee and Nate and for bringing them here and for just giving them the spirit to share with the world, Lord. And I just thank you for their story and their journey and the impact that I know that it will have on so many people that are going to listen into this episode, Lord. And I just pray for those that are listening, that their hearts are open and that we were able to just send them in the right direction on their journey, Lord. And we just pray for baby Marks, that we are having just good health and good development and good growth, Lord. And we just pray over Kaylee and Nate through the rest of this pregnancy and through labor and delivery, Lord. And we just pray that that goes smooth and the way that they dream that it will be, Lord. And we just thank you for your goodness and your miracles and for being in this journey with us and your wisdom along the way. In your name we pray, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Dr. Morris.
Thank you, guys. I just appreciate you so much.
It's always
all right. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Prescribing the Truth. I just really hope and pray that this episode was able to give you things to think about, things to pray about, things to open your heart about. And as always, if you are interested in learning more about the process that Kaylee and Nate went through, all you have to do is head over to Instagram, DM me Fertility, head to the notes on this episode if you are in YouTube, and there'll be links for you to contact us, and we would be honored to support you and carry on your journey with you as well. So thanks again, you guys, and I will catch you all in the next one. Thanks for hanging out with me on today's episode of Prescribing the Truth. If you loved our chat, you can find me on all the socials. Come say hi on Instagram at dr.NicholeMorris. And don't forget, I drop exclusive content on YouTube every week, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Also, I've got to tell you, if you are in need of high-quality, research-backed supplements, check out shopdrmorris.com for my full line of third-party tested, USA-made products. My Prenatal Plus is top of the line for fertility support, and if you've got little ones, grab a bottle of Kids Complete too. Lastly, if you and your husband are trying to conceive naturally without IUI or IVF, my team and I would love to support you, pray with you, and walk this journey with you. Just head over to drnicholemorris.com. That's Dr. Nichole Morris, Nichole with an H, to book a preconception consultation with me. Thanks for joining me today. Stay informed and God bless.